Don't worry about the gray hairs, King. I'm pregnant. I mean, I feel like you guys are still... Like, you guys are going to be horny no matter what. You know what I mean? We're the same age and it ain't your career. Either you go bald or gray. The thing is, I think I'm graying because of my career. I do think that for sure. Okay, that Kaya meme is a banger. I'm using that one. There it is. I don't know anything about what happened to the Golden Globes last night. I didn't watch it. I have no idea. It's going to be like a first time thing for me. So I would like to hear from you guys, cuz one of the best things that I do in my opinion on Sundays or on days that I don't actually stream, I also try to stay away from the internet, which makes me feel much better. If you lived in the Northeast, you would touch grass. I feel like if I lived in the Northeast, I would never touch grass because it's actually cold as hell. Oh my God, the absolute goat of a man. Paul the Body Giamatti. The legend himself in the flesh. Pulling up to the Westwood In-N-Out with a Golden Globe is crazy. Dude, he is... Listen, guys, I'm a big Giamatti head. There's a couple people that I just absolutely love. As far as, like, American actors goes, there's a couple people that I ride for no matter what, okay? They could call me up after doing a murder. I'd be like, where do I hide the body, King? Paul Giamatti is one of them, okay? And weirdly enough, I would say it was actually not like his classic stuff that made me love him, but it was John Adams. I think I decided Paul Giamatti was a American national treasure after watching John Adams on HBO. I don't know why that was like a moment of clarity for me. Like, that was when I decided he is a phenomenal actor. He's also incredible in like silly shows like Billions too, obviously. But yeah, Paul Giamatti, big fan. And then the other guy is Bobbert Odenkirk, okay? Like, Better Call Saul, this man acts his freaking face off. Another guy I also love, but not as much anymore, I would say, is Woody Harrelson. Like, I would put those three at, like, phenomenal television and movie actors that are, I don't know. Those are, like, my three guys that I love so much. Stanley Tucci's pretty great too, but I'm saying these three are my goats, okay? These three are my goats. And then when you get to, like, obviously movie actors, then you move on to, like, obviously, like, Daniel Day-Lewis. Someone in the chat said Willem Dafoe. Yes. Have you seen The Holdovers? No, I have not. Danny DeVito is phenomenal. Cillian Murphy is great. I'm talking, but now we moved on to, like, international talent, right? I'm talking about American national treasures. As a Hollywood assistant, award season go fuck itself, save us. Yeah. Love Walton Goggins. Another phenomenal talent. I love the Zoomers in the chat being like, Zendaya. It's like, no, we're talking about the OGs, okay? There will be time for the Zendayas of the world. Okay, listen up, 17-year-olds in the chat. Calm down, okay? Calm down. We're talking about generational talents that have transcended beyond time. that will leave a mark on the history of acting. And you're over here being like, oh, Zendaya. Oh yeah, what's next? What's that sexy guy? They're gonna be like the new sexy guy. What's his name? He's in everything. Tall one. God damn it. Not Timothy Chalamet. Who I did see. Jacob Elordi. Yeah, they're gonna be like, huh, Jacob Elordi. He's my fave. Yeah, okay, dude. Is he your fave or is he someone who you want to bone? Okay. I would go so far as to say even Pedro Pascal hasn't proven himself yet. My mom worked with Bob Odenkirk. She said he was really nice and paid for her at the top of the hour sub. My mom worked with Bob Odenkirk. She said he was really nice and paid for her top of the hour sub one time. He's the GOAT. Listen, there is a real likelihood that Bob Odenkirk, either accidentally or deliberately, may have seen some of my content. Knowing that he knows who Jordan Peterson is and can put forward a phenomenal Jordan Peterson impersonation implies that there is a universe where Bob Odenkirk may or may not have seen some of my content. I'm just saying. So what you're claiming, while it hurts me because you stole my first ad break debate at the top of the hour, I will say, maybe he's watched some. Maybe he's a fan. Who knows? Who knows? Okay, you don't know. 34 MKD50, thank you for the 50 gifted subs at the top of the hour. Here's a 3-minute ad break coming to you now. 50 of you won't see it, of course, because of 34 MKD50. But if you are not lucky enough to get gifted a sub, you can get it for yourself for $5 or for free with the Twitch Prime. Here's a 3-minute ad break now. You fuck with Danny McBride? Yes. Get in more with comedians, like go on Tim Heidecker's show again? Yeah. We'll see. I mean, have you guys seen Bob Odenkirk do, dude?
What?
Bro, I'm not kidding. Every time I see this video, it gets smaller. I don't know how. I actually don't know what's going on with this video. I feel like it keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller. But yeah, here, this is why I said Bobbert over here could be potentially familiar with my content. Who knows?
And I didn't want to go down the rabbit hole, but can I talk about this for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Rabbits don't dig holes. I mean, they don't. So this phrase, let's not go down the rabbit hole. They use holes that other animals dig.
They pay for the holes to be done.
Have you ever seen a rabbit dig a hole? Let me see. They eat carrots. They run around. They bop around. They don't dig. So this phrase, and I mean...
This is bothering you, I can tell.
Young men.
There's a tissue over there if you want. Yeah.
Young men are having trouble.
Young men are having trouble.
Being alive men.
Young men are having trouble being alive.
They can't think of who to be and what to do anymore.
Because of the phrase going down the rabbit hole?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why I have my 3 steps to top-notchery.
3 steps to top-notchery. Okay. What? By all means, what are they?
Breakfast.
Okay. Is that which step is that?
That's one.
Step number
Eat
1.
a healthy breakfast.
Okay. Jump to step number 3. We'll come back to step number 2. Put down the bong is number 3.
Yes.
And then what's number 2?
Try to get a good job.
Those are your 3 steps to top notchery.
That's it.
Breakfast. All right, everybody, you're hearing it here. Breakfast. Then
try to get a good
job, decent job, and put down the dang bong.
I love him. I already love him, and it made me very happy that he knows who Jordan Peterson is and makes fun of him. It's awesome. Felix made David Cross really mad on Chapo one time by talking about how he admired Farrakhan, and I can't take him seriously now. Wait, really? I don't remember that, and I'm a Chapo head, as you guys know. So, that's shocking to me. I don't remember that episode. But yeah, David Cross is a good guy, too, from what I understand. Fuck Farrakhan, says actually Piers Morgan. Brave take, man. Thank you. Like, I don't think David Cross was one of the worst Cumtown guests of all time. Wait, he was not on Cumtown. Okay, let me tell you something. There is no person who is unironically and seriously saying, like, I love Farrakhan, okay? Now, I know people in the chat are going to say that, but please stop taking that seriously. Like, don't be like those guys, okay? Don't be like the people on Twitter that, work for, like, the American Enterprise Institute or some other think tank that whose sole purpose is to just push for more NATO funding or whatever, going around and consistently taking like shit posting from the left seriously, like to get paid to do so. Or I'll just say it like this. If you are going to be like that, at least get paid for it. There are jobs for it. There's definitely availability. Anyway, okay, maybe I won't go to Brazil.
No. Come on, baby. 1v1. Oh my God, some 1v1. Oh my God, some 1v1. Holy guacamole. It's a fucking 1v1.
Tourism for content. I know. Here's why I will never be able to do cool stuff. Okay. Do you understand? This is my community. So for those of you who are wondering, like, Hassan, why will you never be able to like go travel and do cool stuff? It's because of that. Okay, because like most of my long-term community subs would be like, well, what about the ethics of you traveling to Brazil? Let's talk about the amount of carbon emissions that you emitted specifically, which, by the way, unironically is a thing that people say when I do go to Japan. Okay, but please go to Cuba, though. I really, really, really want to go to Cuba. If there's anyone in here that has a connection with someone in Cuba, with the Cuban government, so I can have like a fixer and a handler on the ground so that I could like have uninterrupted access to being able to shoot, it would be sick. I would love to do it. For sure. I know Chris Smalls went to Cuba. Are you not allowed as a U.S. citizen, though? First of all, I am not only a U.S. citizen, I'm a Turkish citizen as well. Secondly, it doesn't matter. I can get a direct exception for journalism. As Fango Lives loves talking about. You can go to Cuba legally as an American citizen as long as you go with like a journalism visa or something, I think. But yeah, I would love to go. Omega Lol journalism. I mean, yeah, there's a difference between what iShowSpeed is doing and this, okay? Received a near fatal dose of Hitler particles from my YouTube recommendations the other day. I investigated the city that banned police. There's so much stuff like this. I got fed the TikTok of that freak that was calling for your deportation. Absolutely nuts. Oh God, I don't even want to hear about that. There's so many stuff like this, like right-wing Mr. Beast, basically. I thought you renounced your Turkish citizenship. No, I did not. The problem with like being able to stream I would not be able to stream in Cuba. I hate that guy. Tyler Oliveira could have been a genuinely good travel blogger, which is rare, but he immediately became bald and bankrupt with all the rapes. I think he's worse than bald and bankrupt. At least when bald and bankrupt like goes to places, I think he does a better job of. But what does 61 mil mean? Oh, it's 61,000. I mean, iShowSpeed has like done a lot of travel stuff. He literally went to India too, if I'm not mistaken. Like he does like crazy travel stuff. He definitely goes all around and streams it too. But anyway, reach out to the owners of All Power Books, Jesse and Savannah. They've been to Cuba many times. Yeah, iShowSpeed has like an incredible connection with like 13-year-olds globally. Wherever he goes, if there are 13-year-olds abound, okay, he is going to get mobbed no matter what happens, and their parents. You guys go, because you're all 38 years old and you don't understand the concept of like 13-year-olds online loving a content creator, okay? So immediately you think it's weird, but he's 18 or 19 now, okay? So everybody calm down. Not every single time I talk about like little teeny boppers and little teeny babies loving a content creator, is it creepy? Okay, we're not talking like Minecraft grooming allegations or something. We're talking about like, you know, a dude who's like 19 years old who has been streaming since he was like 16, and like every 12-year-old loves him. That's why Speed didn't pop off in Japan. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Kai did, though. Kai had like a lot of people there. Remember when you had Jamie from the old MR? What? I'm 23 and remember going through the stages of grief when I found out Guy Does Minecraft was a freak. I have no idea who that is. Chat saying how like we didn't worship Markiplier or PewDiePie. Yeah, I skipped out on that. I didn't have like a content creator worship moment for myself. I didn't have any of those stages. Anyway, what's weird is that ain't no way that people in the chat in that stream speak English. Not talking about education access. English just isn't a thing for most people there. I love that one day Hassan is shitting on the 16-year-olds in the chat, and then the very next going off on 40-year-olds. Yes, I do it to everybody. People don't understand. People will sometimes get like very in their feelings about. People get very in their feelings about like me, I don't know, making fun of Iowa or something, not realizing that I do it for every single person. Like every single state, every single city. I got the smoke for all of it, okay? I got the smoke for it all. And it's not necessarily like a personal hatred or anything. I'm just memeing. TikToker with Hasanabi agitprop skits.
What? You're a liberal? Didn't Robespierre and Toussaint Louverture murder 100 more bajillion people? How could you be a liberal? Feudalism's the greatest system ever created. The clothes you're wearing were made by feudalism.
Dude, this is my greatest bit. I will stand on that. I'll stand on that business. The feudal peasant milord thing is my, I mean, you know, it's I think it's the best bit
food you
of all
eat
time.
was made by feudalism. You know, liberalism. No.
Speaking of which, like I was thinking about this today as well. Like this kind of ties into the Bill Ackman situation as well. Like Bill Ackman, a billionaire hedge fund dumbass, okay? And his wife, Neri Oxman, right? There's this saga going on. Bill Ackman has been like big time Zionist, has been going off about Harvard students for saying like, October 7 is the fault of like the Israeli apartheid or whatever. And he's been losing his mind about that since October 7, demanding that like every single one of these students gets doxxed and can never have a job again and stuff like that. And it basically turned into this saga where they were looking for a scalp to collect and considered that Claudine Gay, Harvard's former professor, wasn't sufficiently Zionist, right? Even though she is a Zionist, she wasn't sufficiently Zionist. And what does that mean? That means she wasn't going after like every pro-Palestinian student in the way that some random dildo like Ackman wanted, right? Like not as rabid as he is. So what do? They looked at her work and her dissertation for like 30 years ago, found that like there was some suspicious pieces in her dissertation, some improper citations, and they turned around and made this like the most important news story of the month. It was really great because it had palace intrigue. It had, Ivy Leagues, a scandal, things that New York Times and New York Times readers care about. So they consistently talked about this issue, like Claudine Gay plagiarized. Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. She ended up resigning. And then Business Insider turned around and wrote an article about Bill Ackman's wife, Neri Oxman. Now, Neri herself, this is Bill's second wife, Neri herself had actually gotten a big time, Neri had gotten money from Jeffrey Epstein. I don't know if you guys know who that is. Jeffrey Epstein, famous scandalist, international sex trafficker, pedophile, and also a funder of the arts and sciences. So, yeah, the financier. Yeah, the accounting guy. Anyway, Neri Oxman, Bill Ackman's wife, had gotten money to the tune of $120,000 to make a sculpture for Jeffrey Epstein. Things of that nature. But anyway, Business Insider went after Neri, found that she actually had been aggressively plagiarizing, like straight up ripping Wikipedia pages. Okay? In the same vein, as I called it, by the way, another classic Hasanabi W, when I told you that all matter of like Ivy Leagues and the research that they put forward, especially in the social sciences, like it's going to be riddled with plagiarism, okay? And I told you this. You can look into anyone and any background, and you will 1,000% find way worse levels of plagiarism than what Claudine Gay was being attacked for. That's academia, okay? I told you that from the jump. Which is ironic, because that doesn't mean that there isn't still good research being conducted at these places, at these facilities. Of course there are. That still doesn't change the reality that, yes, there are plenty of people that are going to be doing a tremendous amount of plagiarism in their research. And, everybody that goes around and goes, oh, we got to do something about plagiarism in academia, all of a sudden hating from the outside of the club, okay? Hailing the club as though it's like this, peak academic, this institution that is at the forefront of academic excellence, okay? Completely failing to understand what these institutions are actually representative of, right? Anyway, everyone made a big story. Turns out Business Insider went in and found that Neri Oxman was a regular serial plagiarizer. And then old Bilbo Baggins, okay, Bill Ackman, turned around and unleashed daggers upon Business Insider. Now, Business Insider, much like every newspaper in this goddamn country, is owned by a billionaire, right? Or has a connection to a billionaire. And here it is. This is Max Tanny for Semaphore. After Business Insider reported Bill Ackman's wife committed serial plagiarism in her PhD and papers, including copy-pasting entire paragraphs from Wikipedia, he pressured the German corporation that owns it to retract it. Now they're saying it was motivated by anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism. That's right. Business Insider's owners clash over plagiarism story, which is ironic because the original attacks against Claudine Gay absolutely were motivated by anti-black sentiment, saying she's a DEI recipient, openly stating like she's a black woman, so she's, of course, dumb, and she must have plagiarized. Look how much she plagiarized as a black woman in a position of power that she doesn't deserve to be in, because DEI is basically the same as CRT, the same as like affirmative action. It's the new version of that, right? So now, the very same people that were motivated by white supremacist values that, joined in on the fun are going to turn around and, without a shred of acceptance of the hypocrisy, go, this is so anti-Semitic. Ackman led the effort to oust now former Harvard president Claudine Gay over plagiarism accusations amid campus controversies around Israel and Gaza. Last week, Business Insider reported that his wife, Neri Oxman, plagiarized portions of her dissertation. Semaphore has learned that the report has caused serious divisions within the top echelons of Axel Springer, BI's German owner. Some company leaders have debated whether Ackman's wife was fair game for reporting and have been concerned that the report could be construed as anti-Semitic and anti-Zionist. Oxman was born and raised in Israel. The story has also seemingly caused a rift. Yes, it is now officially both anti-Semitic and anti-Zionist if someone who is in any way, shape, or form connected to Israel, if they have plagiarized as well, okay, then you can't say it. Because if you say it, then that's also that's anti-Semitic and anti-Zionist. By the way, I love that anti-Zionist. Like, I'm doing anti-Zionism by saying that some random Israeli woman's academic work is plagiarized. That's not anti-Zionism either, okay? It's none of those things. I haven't been around as much lately. Have you covered how all the threads have become right-wing and hatred fueled than Gab in the last month or two. 50% of it is pro-Israel shit trying to guilt people for being anti-Zionist, and the other 50% are transphobic nobodies getting max interactions. Kind of wild how unchecked it is. Nice. I was not familiar with that. No, I don't go on Threads at all. But I do find it awesome. I do find it awesome that people are losing their absolute minds over this. And I do find that it's additionally funny that Bill Ackman got the same level of smoke that he was delivering against his wife and is now losing his mind. He has been tweeting up a storm. Bill Ackman is testing the limits of how long your Twitter posts can be. Sometimes if you on accident encounter one of those posts, you can scroll over and over and over and over again, and there's like not one but two read more moments in there. It's crazy. I'm fully in the Bill Ackman fandom now. His wife, who apparently has been living in houses with dangerous carbon monoxide levels for the last 40 years of her life, has won me over. Finally, an NFT that embraces emotional complexity, she says. That's awesome. Ackman and Musk proving once again that CEOs are the hardest working men by tweeting 7,000-word essays daily. Yeah, it's like, it's wild how much being extremely online can break you, okay? And it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter if you're a billionaire hedge fund manager. One, Twitter has shown once again that billionaires absolutely do not work, okay? They don't. Nobody got time for that level of tweeting. I literally tweet for a living. My job is to be on Twitter to a certain degree, sometimes post on Twitter to a certain degree as an online commentator, online political commentator. I can't tweet as much as Bill Ackman does. Okay? And this guy is supposedly like the CEO of a bunch of different companies. He's like running a hedge fund. How has he got time to tweet that much? So, just saying, once again, proving that, one, billionaires don't work at all. They don't have a job, a real job. Two, another hilarious part about this is the same exact thing that Elon Musk has proven time and time again. Billionaires are hilariously underqualified for these top positions that they claim that they worked really hard for. And last but not least, okay, they are incredibly petty, incredibly thin-skinned, and cannot pull back. And the thing is, what many fail to understand is that if you stare into that darkness, into that deep, dark crevice, that pit of online despair, and it stares back at you, you will never win, okay? That level of ego, and I know this from my own personal experiences, right? You will never be able to win these kinds of battles online unless you are a horrifying scumbag, okay? Those who win online in the battle of online culture, these wars conducted online, is always going to be anonymous accounts with nothing else going for them, okay? You can't. All you've done is shown those people that you are reading their posts and it's pissing you off. So on that note, I say to Bill, keep posting, brother. I'm sure you're going to post through this. I'm sure it's going to help. I'm sure it's going to fix your situation. Cupcake Beats. Quality research is not happening at the same rate at these Ivy Leagues anymore as it used to happen, which made these unis prestigious partly in the first place. Corporate companies are better at research in today's world, also due to more resources. I mean, sure. I don't know. I do, however, want to stress something. Twitter does have the capacity to like motivate a lot of people into false narratives, into thinking that they're like, thinking that they're somehow a story is more valid than it actually is. And unless every other mainstream journalist, every other mainstream outlet like the New York Times starts covering the Bill Ackman saga, which they very well might due to the fact that there are a lot of extremely online journalists still, right? This is not going to hit the mainstream. This is just a pure, as far as I've seen, I have yet to see any real, like not Semaphore, any real legacy publisher cover the Bill Ackman and Bill Ackman's wife, Saga. So it's not going to hit the mainstream at all. It's just a Twitter story. And I think a lot of people on Twitter are thinking, oh, yeah, everyone's going crazy over it. CNN covered it, you say. Okay. That is nothing in comparison to the amount of coverage Claudine Gay got, though. You understand that, right? For something to be actual news, it has to leave the Twitter spaces, right? It has to leave Twitter, and it has to leave like the secondary online outlets that care about Twitter, Semaphore being one of them, like smaller outlets that can't really move the needle on its own, and get massive coverage on American mainstream media through legacy publishers. Not one article. I'm talking above the fold. Claudine Gay got above the fold coverage for weeks. Okay? Headlines for weeks. See, the Claudia thing was on TV here in France for several weeks on the biggest channels. There you go. What is this? Ackman was talking about starting a company that would go after every leftist ever that has made a citation error in their academic work. Yeah. And I don't think it will because, like, the reality is, I think, like, Bill Ackman is still a very powerful billionaire. And as a very powerful billionaire, he has a lot of powerful billionaire buddies. Some of them own newspapers. Some of them own PR companies and whatnot, or have connections to PR companies and whatnot. So, like, you can really stop a story like this dead in its tracks. However, if there is pure pettiness coming from the media cycle too, and they want to get mad about it, that's the only thing. That is the only thing that will cause the story to stay alive. Okay? Anyway, the story is also seemingly caused a rift between BI's editorial team and its parent company. In an email to staff on Sunday, editor-in-chief Nish Carlson said that Axel asked BI to review its reporting process. As global editor-in-chief, it is my responsibility to publish fair, independent, and newsworthy journalism, he said. I made the call to publish both of these stories. I stand by a story and the work that went into it. I know that our process was sound. I know our newsroom's motivations are truth and accountability. It's pretty funny when, like, you know, a billionaire daddy gets really mad that a newspaper, like an online newspaper, is covering his wife on the same boundaries that he was on the same exact boundaries that he was, like, dishing it out. And all of a sudden, he calls in another billionaire daddy that owns the media conglomerate, that owns the newspaper, to do a review on the process. It's just so obviously. It is just so obviously another situation where these guys are just basically flexing how much power they have, okay? So, why did I talk about all of this? If you remember, we started off this process by talking about my lord and how, like, a lot of people behave like the peasants in medieval times that would defend the king's, prima nocta rights. The fact that, like, a king was actually the son of God, you know? That sort of thing. And at a certain point, I realized in my life, maybe a couple years prior, I realized that there are the exact same energy and motivation that people have now existed even back then. Okay? There was still a tremendous number of people that defended God kings, right? Defended the notion that, like, yes, truly the king was a descendant of God, and that things were good, and that we shouldn't change them, and would snitch on revolutionary figures, I guess. And I think that you're confusing terms. No, prima nocta, like, you know, the divine right to be able to have sex with your wife on your wedding day. Okay, I know. Prima nocta is contested. We don't know if it's real or not. Okay, shut up. All right, shut up, nerd. Listen, my point is, I did mean that. Yes, I used prima nocta deliberately. Yes. The king or the feudal lord can take a peasant's wife's virginity on the night of their wedding. Okay? My point is this. Those guys still exist. If you want to understand how certain, like if you look at history and you want to look at like the unimaginable amounts of cruelty that people were subjected to and how they just kind of allowed that to continue without not too much revolutionary action. Okay? The very same versions of those peasants still exist in modern society and modernity. They are the people who defend Elon Musk. They are the blue check marks. They are the people who are, you know, doing AI images of Bill Ackman as like a Roman emperor, being like, yes, sir. Yes, king. Please, please destroy Harvard, my God. Please destroy Harvard, my liege. They are the people who hail rich people as God kings, okay? They're peasants. They're peasant-brained. And there are many more of them. There are many more of them than there are of you. So, if there's one thing, if there's one takeaway from all of this, okay? If there's one takeaway from all of this, it's that while things may look awful, while things may be dire for the leftist movement or whatever, okay? One thing that you should always remember is that at least you will be on the right side of history. At least you will not be one of those peasants that said, my lord, feudalism is the greatest economic system that we could have ever foreseen, my lord. Do not rise up against our masters. They are God sent. They have the divine right to rule, given to them by God, my lord. Okay? My lord, you deserve all of this bounty that I've worked for. That's it. At least you don't have peasant brain. Do you think peasant brain is at 30 to 50% of the population? It's at least the constant 33% that answers Fox News polls positively. No, it's beyond. No, peasant brain has different degrees. Like, there's plenty of liberal Democratic Party people that do it as well. Anytime you think about people who defend the status quo, despite the fact that they are not benefiting from it at all, okay, and look for the positives within the status quo, anytime you look for someone who defends a billionaire because they think that he deserves to be a billionaire, that he worked really hard, anytime you find someone that actually believes in the myth of meritocracy, that people actually do work really hard and work really smart to get to the positions of power that they got to, for example, okay, you are talking to someone with a terminal case of peasant brain. I don't know who this guy is, but this is another leftist that has blocked me posting. What is this? If Starbucks is the only place open and I'm hungry, do y'all want me to starve genuinely? I don't know. What? Oh, God. Two of my least favorite subject matters, like No Cop City Marxist twink at username that I suspect is like leftier than thou type anarchist, posting on a quote retweeting a Starbucks thing, which I don't even want to get into. Everyone's going to get mad at me, but like the whole Starbucks boycott stuff is just like whatever. Anyway,
some of the girls saying that it's too hard to not have Starbucks. And it's too hard not to have McDonald's. Do y'all want to know something? You know how they always talk about, like, I don't know, in medieval times or whatever the fuck.
Starbucks is not even on the BDS list. I know. It's like one of those things. It's like one of those things, like the Starbucks boycott or whatever. Is like one of those things where I just leave, you know, I want the lefties to have a little bit of a treat. You know what I mean? I want the lefties to have a little bit of a treat, so I just don't really talk about it that much. Because I know people will get like super mad. But if you were to ask the average person like why they're doing boycott Starbucks or whatever, there's no way they know. The real reason why it popped off overall in America is because one of the Starbucks unions wanted to show solidarity with Palestine, and Starbucks corporate stopped it. They're like, no, you can't do that, right? That's where it popped off originally, and now people think like it's destroyed Starbucks' like revenue or something. I don't think it has, but it like grew into Starbucks globally. Like everybody hates Starbucks now, and I don't even know where it's coming from. But like it's one of those things where I'm just like, I'm not touching it. You know what I mean? If it were up to me, I don't really care one way or another about Starbucks. Like, did you hear about the mass prisoner graves behind the Mississippi prison? Yes. We'll talk about that. But it's one of those cases where it's like, it's one of those cases where people are just like very angry at Starbucks, or Starbucks became like a lightning rod for demonstrating some form of BDS. So I don't know. You boycott Starbucks because you don't get the whole BDS thing, but want to have leftist bona fides. I boycott Starbucks because I work from home and make my own coffee. We're not the same. Yeah. But overall, yeah.
Wait, why y'all saying no Starbucks?
Even Kai's chat of Zoomers is like against Starbucks somehow, I guess. And I think it's literally because like for many, this has become like a rallying cry for being pro-Palestine. And I think it comes from TikTok. And I think it comes from Stan Twitter too. It's Stan Twitter and TikTok that basically said like Starbucks is the one. Starbucks is the one company that's like doing a tremendous amount of like damage. And I don't even know if there's like doesn't Starbucks support Israel? I don't think Starbucks supports Israel any less or more than like the average company does. Like all companies do commerce in Israel as well. Usually the BDS stuff factors in if we're talking about like Elbit Systems, like an Israeli weapons manufacturer, or a surveillance technology company, or a company like Caterpillar, that specifically designs things for the Israeli Defense Force, the Israeli occupying force to use, right? Like Caterpillar is on the BDS list since I believe 2005, since the Rachel Corrie murder, right? I'm mixing up my timeline here, but why is it on the list? Because they have an IDF-9 specific bulldozer that the IDF uses to bulldoze Palestinian homes and Palestinian roads, and that bulldozer was used to kill Rachel Corrie, an American activist. So that's the reason why it's on the BDS list. And then last but not least, there are companies that also operate within the West Bank. Like they build factories in the West Bank for cheap Palestinian labor and cheap real estate. And that's another reason why the BDS list will put them on the list specifically. Okay. Starbucks, as far as I understand, does not touch any of those things. Like, I don't think it's just probably pro Israel as just like every other company is, right? But yeah, that is. But regardless, Zoomers have decided, or TikTok has decided, that like Starbucks is one of those institutions that is worthy of boycotting for pro-Palestine. It's mostly culture war, I think. Here, these are the ones who are definitely on the BDS list. Hewlett Packard, which helps run the biometric ID system that Israel uses to restrict Palestinian movement. Siemens is complicit in its apartheid in Israel's illegal settlement enterprise. Puma sponsors the Israel Football Association. AXA invests in Israeli banks, which finance the theft of Palestinian land and natural resources. Israeli fruit and vegetables. SodaStream is actively complicit in Israel's policy of displacing the indigenous Bedouin Palestinian citizens of Israel in Negev, or Nakab. SodaStream has a long history of mistreatment and discrimination against Palestinian workers. Sabra Hummus is another one, probably the easiest boycott of all time. Because if you, I don't know, enjoy eating hummus, you probably shouldn't be eating Sabra anyway. It's gross. It's nasty. But these are the reasons, and these are the major. Ahava Cosmetics has a production site, visitor center, and main store in an illegal Israeli settlement. So, like, those are the major brands that BDS specifically pushes the boycott, right? However, overall, there's a larger list. Oh, here are the consumer boycott targets: AXA, Puma, Carrefour, Ahava, Remax, Siemens, SodaStream, Texaco, Chevron, Caltex. And then there are the divestment and exclusion targets. There are the pressure targets on Google, Amazon, Expedia, Disney, Airbnb, Booking, Tiva. And the organic boycott targets feature McDonald's, Domino's Pizza, Pizza Hut, Papa John's, Burger King, and Wix. Now, the organic boycotts are basically things that pop off. Starbucks is not even on this list, which they haven't really updated, I guess, to put Starbucks on the list. But it's just a thing. At the end of the day, it's not harmful to boycott Starbucks, so who cares? I agree. This isn't like, this isn't for me to be like, I'm giving you permission to go drink Starbucks or anything. I'm just simply explaining. I don't personally care. It's one of those things where it's like, I don't care enough to be like, guys, chill out. Let's dial it back here or anything like that. I don't like that people are also like, if I can't have Starbucks, I'll die. That also frustrates me. But the major reason as to why the Starbucks boycott originally happened was because a union, a Starbucks union wanted to show solidarity to Palestine, and Starbucks corporate stopped them. That's it. Okay? I've also seen people say boycott Starbucks because they're union busters. I've had to explain to these people that you should only listen to the unionized members and whether they're actually asking for a solidarity boycott. If you boycott unionizing companies just because they're anti-union, you're defeating the goals of the union members. Yeah. So that's it. It's also a popular, visible brand to draw attention. I know. A lot of people get very mad about it, and it's like I don't know how to. I don't have like a final opinion on this because in my mind, I do feel like it's I guess it's a demonstration of Palestinian solidarity, so that's good. Even if it's like misplaced against Starbucks, which is not necessarily a company that is like pro-Palestine anyway. Does that make sense? So, a lot of people say this kind of stuff, and here are even Zoomers in the Kai Cenat chat.
Whoa! What I say no Starbucks?
Wow.
Boycott. But why y'all banning them, bro? Mods, who are y'all banning? Who's fussing about banning? I'm trying to read shit.
Wow, Aiden. Aiden, are you in here? How do you feel about your bot participating in the silencing of protest globally in one of the most important chats? It's basically the town hall for Zoomies.
They funding the...
This is so funny. Also, much respect to Kai Cenat for wearing a UPS t-shirt in solidarity with the union. That's a Teamster through and through, you know what I mean? Anyway.
I gotta do my research, bro. So for the notice I can't drink this, I'm gonna do my own research.
There's nothing funnier to me than watching a pressure campaign on like on a streamer who like very deliberately tries to remain apolitical, I guess, quote unquote apolitical, and then like when a big chunk of their fan base is like, you know, pro a particular position, they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize it was like that. What? CEO targeted specific people at a union after October 7 and put targets on people at specific locations. I'm trying to find information that's easily digestible. Just drop the Starbucks topic, please. You are unintentionally using a trope. The left is perpetuating to discredit people criticizing Biden. Just stop. What? What are you talking about? I said that Starbucks corporate targeted specific Starbucks unions that wanted to show solidarity to Palestine. That is true. What does this have to do with Joseph Robinette Biden? This is yet another case of a chatter just basically repeating what I said verbatim in a shorter format, in a more reductive format, and then yelling at me over it, and I don't understand. Anyway.
All right, man, we not doing that shit. I got me some cranberry juice.
Yo! Bro knew damn well he just swapped the glass. Anyway, that's awesome. I mean, cool. I have yet to witness any big material changes from boycotting and not buying stuff. People are so stuck in the whole capitalism thing. The only way they see is to get see ways of consuming is to try and do something. Yeah, I guess. Bro divested his drinking choices. I mean, look, that to me, that feels kind of good. It's like, this is why I'm not yelling about it too much. Okay? This is why I'm not yelling about it too much. Why am I not yelling about it too much? Because, like, if Zoomers want to, like, if Zoomers are using Starbucks as a beacon of, like, showing Palestinian solidarity, and that's, like, one method that they can get people to, get people that they love, that they watch every day to also show solidarity of some sort, even if it's misplaced, right? People on Twitter who have very large platforms use Starbucks as a way to discredit the entire pro-Palestinian movement as Zoomers following a trend they know nothing about, so just drop Starbucks, please. You're right, chatter. I should just drop talking about this instead of, like, trying to further elaborate on an issue. Anyway, like I said, the reason why I don't speak out on it, I guess, is because, like, even if it's misplaced, I guess, considering that all companies, just like Starbucks, play a role in like, I guess, being somewhat supportive of Israel, right? Ultimately, it's a way to demonstrate pro-Palestinian solidarity. And it's a way to get, like, a big streamer to basically say, oh, my bad, I didn't know it was like that. Right? I didn't know it was like that. My apologies. Right? Anyway. Hassan, you the biggest centrist out there. Does boycotting help anything? It can. It's just that boycotting on its own without, like, actual union power or without actual demands is often going to be disorganized. Like, decentralized boycotts are ineffective. Okay? Starbucks has lost $11 million in market value, and not because of the boycotts. Yeah, I think a lot of people were also claiming that Starbucks lost $11 billion because of the boycotts, which I don't think is correct. Like, I don't think it was because of the boycotts, but I guess here it is. One thing is true: the Seattle-based coffee company is not having a bang-up time heading into the new year. Its share price has seen a sharp decline. Starbucks' stock is experiencing a historic losing streak. Data collected by third parties suggests his foot traffic and sales may be falling short of Wall Street expectations. Has seen negative headlines on how it's handling relations with workers attempting to unionize, which I think is probably a bigger reason. Oops, what did I do? Many of whom walked off the job in its Red Cup day when it gives out free reusable seasonal cups. In addition, it has found itself caught in the crosshairs of the Israel-Hamas war after a pro-Palestine tweet from the union that prompted calls for a boycott on the right and the left, though analysts say it's hard to know the impact these calls are having on the actual business or the stock price. I don't think it's the protests that are driving this, says Sarah Sanatori, senior research analyst at Bank of America. The timeline on foot traffic declines don't really line up with the boycotts. Plus, Starbucks is no stranger to controversy. I think it's a combination of all of it. I think that it certainly played a role in it. Why was something like the bus boycotts and the civil rights movement so effective versus something like the Starbucks boycott, Jen? Great question. The Montgomery bus boycotts specifically were the Montgomery bus boycotts were very tangible, identifiable goals, right? It was associated with a civil rights movement that was significantly better organized. It was very targeted, and it had tangible, identifiable goals. Does that make sense? It wasn't simply like spontaneously deciding online that we were no longer going to be sipping on Starbucks or something like that, but instead, or, you know, Hogwarts Legacy. We're not going to play Hogwarts Legacy. That's in my opinion, one of the best demonstrations of like a consumer product that was silly to boycott, because it wasn't direct. It was a very indirect way of criticizing a very specific person that had created the IP, but the IP itself wasn't transphobic, and the video game itself wasn't transphobic either. And it was like associated with transphobia due to the person that was benefiting from it, you know, J.K. Rowling's, right? One of the most prominent TERFs online. But to the broadest majority of the public, like they don't know or care about J.K. Rowling, or they just want to play wizard game that makes them feel like kids again. So that was a very ineffective boycott movement, right? Because there was no tangible goal associated with it either. Because if the ultimate goal was to get people to be aware of J.K. Rowling's transphobia, then there were probably better ways of utilizing the popularity or capturing the popularity of the Hogwarts Legacy and simultaneously getting people to learn about it, right? And that was something that I presented ahead of time. That was something I presented ahead of time. That was something I tried to explain ahead of time as well. Boycotts are basically creating a mass ultimatum for brands and companies. We will not continue buying X until you Y. If you just say the first part without the ultimatum part, there's absolutely zero motive for that company to change their ways. Exactly. Sometimes they might not even know what to change their ways for. Right? But I see the Starbucks, like the Starbucks boycott in and of itself as as a lightning rod, or as a signifier that you are, you know, demonstrating Palestinian solidarity. So ultimately, it's not the absolute worst thing, I guess. The explanation of what's happening with Starbucks is actually kind of boring. The long and short of what's happening is that investors believe things aren't going as well as they would. The company had a strong quarter in July, September. Same-store sales in the United States were up by 8%. Because of pumpkin spice latte, they got a sales boost. And then in October, December, some data suggests Starbucks isn't doing as well, or at least not as well as expected. Starbucks' Red Cup Day saw just a 32% boost in foot traffic compared to 81% in 2021. That most likely is a consequence of the union, by the way. According to data provided by to Vox by Memo, a media tracking and insights company, the readership on news related to the Starbucks' Red Cup Day was much higher in 2022 than it was in 2023. Workers walked off the job in both years, and readership about that declined too, though to a lesser extent. Last year's success with Red Cup Day was partially driven by increased awareness around it as an event. And even then, it's not like the workers walking off the job in higher numbers than they did the year prior. It's still about media coverage around it. Not getting enough, like, I guess, natural or not getting enough organic media coverage around it. Anyway, disorganized boycotting can work. What the F? I don't agree with that. I don't know a single instance of a disorganized, decentralized boycott that has ever actually worked. What is the aim of this talk? What are you trying to achieve? Demoralize people? Is that what the Palestine coverage has come to? Yes. My goal is to try and demoralize people and to stop them from protesting for Palestine. You've caught me. This is precisely the reason why I have never ceased my coverage and have continuously covered Israel's acts against humanity over and over and over again, every single day, continuously, sometimes for 8 to 10 hours a day, uninterrupted, since October 7. Hassan is so annoying sometimes, he says. True. So, my point is that even if this wasn't the most successful boycott, or even if this wasn't against like the best target, I still see value in it because I see it as a demonstration of solidarity. You know what I mean? That's my point. So overall, I see it as a positive because I see Zoomers in Kaizen chat being like, oh, Starbucks is funding genocide, and that's why you should no longer, what are you doing? You're drinking Starbucks. Like that, to me, what's significant there isn't necessarily boycotting Starbucks, because I'm sure they will be fine. It's more so that there is a social awareness and a demonstration of solidarity caused by social media that has decided that I guess Starbucks is the beacon of BDS when it's not. But it doesn't really matter because people are still saying that you should criticize products that we have associated together online with Israel. Okay? That's it. How is that different than what people wanted out of the Hogwarts boycott? The point was to show solidarity with queer people, specifically the trans community. Because the video game, because Starbucks, much like every other company, at least is still associated and has done something that is like anti-Palestine. Whereas, and it's an ongoing genocide. Whereas Wizard Game is not even remotely associated with transphobia in the eyes of the broader public. That's my point. And there are also varying degrees of need when it comes to Palestine, something that I have regularly talked about, even far before this, because I've been covering Palestine for a very long time. Something that I've talked about this before is that for Palestinians, like things that you would do for white supremacy, to combat white supremacy in America, are very different for what you need to do for Palestinians. Awareness in and of itself in other circumstances, like throwing up a black fist for BLM, is not going to move the needle in combating police brutality, right, in the United States of America. But actually simply showing solidarity in that regard for Palestine is actually good. Because there's different levels of need. Does that make sense? Because many people in America know that like police brutality is a thing. They sometimes think it's good. They sometimes think it's bad, but they know it's a thing. Many people in America until recently were not even aware that the Palestinians were being genocided or that the Palestinians lived under an apartheid regime, and still to this day don't even believe it. So your goal is awareness. And this is something that Palestinian activists will tell you, Palestinians on the ground will tell you, is to never stop talking about Palestine. Right? If you recall, one of the things that they were saying in the immediate aftermath of October 7 was not to even raise money or funds, but to just simply talk about what is going on and tell people about what is going on in Palestine, in Gaza specifically. Okay? So yeah. Ackman, Jews don't plagiarize, only what? Oh, Jesus. Jewish billionaire William Ackman was angry that Harvard students opposed genocide in Gaza. He was angry that Harvard President Claudine Gay didn't suppress students' First Amendment right to speech and assembly. He then demanded that Gay be ousted because she supposedly committed plagiarism. Gay was ousted. When a Jewish billionaire says the black president of Harvard must go, she goes. But then it was discovered that Ackman's wife, an Israeli-born former lieutenant in the Israeli Air Force, committed plagiarism. Ackman is now hopping mad. Only are supposed to be punished for plagiarism. Ackman is now threatening to expose plagiarism among faculty at MIT, where his plagiarizing wife taught. I, for one, am relieved that Ackman didn't order his wife to drop 2,000-pound bombs on MIT. God, it's just don't send me Norman Finkelstein tweets, please.
Damn, this guy's good.